If you could only own one prime lens, which one would it be? A 50mm or an 85mm? This is indeed one of the biggest debates in photography, and for good reason. These are two of the most popular focal lengths ever made. Both are legendary, both can create incredible images, and both have a place in almost every photographer's bag. But here's the problem. A lot of photographers buy the wrong one. They see beautiful portraits taken on an 85mm and immediately think that's the lens they need. Or they hear everybody calling the 50mm the nifty 50 and assume it's the perfect lens for everything. The truth is, these lenses are completely different tools, and depending on how you shoot, one of them may fit your style way better than the other. So today, we're breaking down the 50mm versus the 85mm, talking about what each lens does best, where they struggle, and hopefully helping you decide which one deserves a spot in your camera bag. Let's start with something that's a little less technical, because lenses have personalities. The 50mm is the storyteller. The 85mm is the isolator. The 50mm likes context. It wants to show your subject and the world around them. The 85mm wants to eliminate distractions. It wants all the attention on your subject. Neither approach is wrong, they're just different ways of seeing, and understanding this one thing can completely change the way you buy lenses. Let's talk about the 85mm first. There is a reason why so many portrait photographers absolutely love this focal length. The first thing you notice is the compression. An 85mm lens slightly flattens facial features, which generally creates a very flattering look. Faces look natural, proportions look pleasing, and you don't get the slight distortion that wider lenses can sometimes introduce. But that's not the biggest reason people buy an 85mm. The biggest reason is separation. This thing is an absolute monster when it comes to isolating your subject. If you're shooting at f.81 or f.14, backgrounds simply melt away. Buildings disappear, trees turn into soft colors, street clutter becomes creamy bokeh. Everything behind your subject becomes less distracting, and your subject just pops. That's why so many professional portrait photographers reach for an 85mm. It's almost cheating. Even a messy location can suddenly look clean and professional. Another thing people love about the 85mm is that it lets you keep your distance. I like to call it the sniper approach. You're observing the scene rather than stepping directly into it. For street photography, this can be incredibly useful. You can stand across the street and capture authentic moments without interrupting the scene. People don't always notice you're taking their photo. The result often feels more candid and natural. This is also great if you're a little shy around strangers, or if you simply prefer observing rather than interacting. The 85mm gives you that extra reach. But here's the downside. The 85mm needs space, a lot of space. If you're indoors, in a small room, a coffee shop, a market, or a tiny workshop, suddenly that beautiful compression becomes a problem. You keep backing up, then backing up some more, and eventually you hit a wall, literally. Sometimes you simply can't fit enough into the frame. And that's where the 50mm starts to shine. The reason so many photographers love the 50mm is because it feels natural. A photo taken at 50mm often feels very close to the way we remember seeing the moment. It's not too wide, it's not too tight, it's right in that sweet spot. And because of that, the 50mm is incredible for storytelling. When we travel, we don't always want a photo of just a person. We want a photo of a person in their environment. The street they're standing on, the market they're working in, the little details around them. The context matters, and the 50mm gives you that. This is where the 50mm absolutely dominates: environmental portraits. You can photograph someone while still showing the world they belong to. A fisherman on a dock, a street vendor in a busy market, a craftsman inside a tiny workshop. You get the person and the story. That's something the 85mm struggles with, because once you start getting farther away with an 85mm, you begin losing that sense of connection. The 50mm sits right in the middle. It's intimate without feeling too tight. One of my favorite things about the 50mm is how flexible it is. Take 2 steps forward, now you have a beautiful portrait. Take 2 steps backward, now you have an environmental shot. It can do both. That's why so many photographers call it the perfect walk-around lens. You can shoot portraits, street photography, travel, food, lifestyle, a little bit of everything. The 85mm is more specialized. The 50mm is more versatile. This might be controversial, but I honestly think the 50mm forces you to become a better photographer, because you can't simply stand far away and let the compression do all the work. You have to move. You have to get closer. You have to think about your composition. You have to interact with your subject. And sometimes that's where the best photographs happen. You become part of the scene instead of just observing it. That's one of the reasons so many documentary photographers and travel photographers love the 50mm. It puts you in the moment. Here's the simple answer. If you love portraits, want maximum background blur, shoot headshots, or prefer keeping your distance from your subjects, buy the 85mm. You will absolutely love it. But if you love travel photography, street photography, environmental portraits, and want one lens that can do almost everything, buy the 50mm. For most photographers, honestly, the 50mm is probably the safer first purchase. It's incredibly versatile, it's easy to use, and it teaches you a lot about composition and storytelling. That doesn't make it better than the 85mm, it just makes it better for more situations. At the end of the day, this isn't really about which lens is better. It's about how you see the world. The 85mm sees subjects, the 50mm sees stories. I personally love having both because they complement each other beautifully. There are times when I want that creamy background and incredible subject isolation, and there are other times when I want to show the person and the world around them. That's the beauty of photography. There isn't one right answer. But if I could only walk out the door with one prime lens for a trip, exploring a city, or documenting everyday life, honestly, I'm probably grabbing the 50mm. Now let us know in the comments, are you going for the 50 or the 85? And if you had to keep only one lens forever, which one would it be? We'll see you guys in the next one. Peace.